Welcome to my official fan casting of the Throne of Glass series. 3 things we need to talk about before we get started. This will contain spoilers. Second, you will not find any singers or influencers in my cast list, okay? These are actual actors who have proved that they can actually play these roles. Third thing, you will not find on my list 30 to 35-year-olds casted to play 18-year-old girls. I do not understand why this is such a huge thing all over TikTok right now, but I've seen so many cast lists where they're casting 30-year-old women as Selena and Aelin. That's just not right. And by all means, let's just jump right into it. We are going to start with the Golden Trio, aka Selena slash Aelin, Dorian, and Kale. For Aelin and Selena, I actually have 2 actresses that if either of them got cast, I could die happy. One of them, she just looks the part perfectly. Not sure if she could play Aelin because I haven't seen her play that kind of character. But the other girl, not only does she look the part, but she can act it out. The first one is Freya Allan. If you have seen The Witcher, you know her as Ciri of Sintra. In the season finale of the most recent season, there's this fire scene where she gets engulfed in fire. To me, the second I saw the scene, I knew she was Aelin of the Wildfire. Like, it was so evident. But Millie Alcock from House of Dragon, she not only looks like Aelin, but she has mastered the art of sassy attitude without cringe. If you're anything like me when you read Throne of Glass, you love Aelin so much, but then if you try to think about anyone in real life doing anything or saying many of the things that Aelin does, it would just be cringy. Honestly, same thing with Bryce Quinlan. So it is so important that we find someone who can actually portray these attitudes without coming across as like an annoying pick-me girl. Sorry, that's just how I feel. Jumping to Dorian, it was very important to me that Dorian was played by someone younger, so I'm actually going with Felix Mallard. I have not seen this casting yet before, but to me, he can play the heartthrob, the tortured emo, he can play like the master of shadows, but then he can also play a super tender-hearted, soft character. So I think he has the ability to play Dorian. And then lastly, I feel like some people are gonna accuse me of just being a crazy fangirl for this one, but I swear, I haven't even seen this TV show that he's in that everyone's obsessed with him for. I do want to. I do plan to see it. But tell me there is no more perfect age-appropriate Kale than Christopher Brinley. There's just something about the way that he presents himself to me that screams Kale Westfall. So here they are side by side, my golden trio. Now we're gonna jump to our Throne of Glass ladies, starting off with one of my personal favorites, Manon Blackbeak. And yes, I say Manon, not Manon. DM me if you really have a problem with it and we can chat. There is a really popular fan casting out there that visually makes perfect sense. But I will raise you actually an actress who I think could act the part. And mind you, I think she would need a good bit of makeup and definitely got to use your imagination for a platinum wig to see it work, but I think she could play the part perfectly. The really popular one, of course, is Dove Cameron. She looks exactly how Manon is described. Frankly, though, I've yet to see her play this kind of villainous evil character without it being deeply rooted in Disney-level acting. If she got cast, would I be mad? Absolutely not. I think if anything, it would be really good for her in her career to show that she can play the villain without that Disney zest, who I think could absolutely play the part beautifully and actually make me believe it and fall in love with her, is Abby Cohen. I've not seen this fan casting before, but it lives rent-free in my brain. If you ever saw Fate Winx Saga, that show was bad. Cripplingly bad. But here's the thing, she plays the main character, and I literally only watched that show for her. The amount of chiropractic adjustment she probably had to get from carrying the entire show on her back is insane. If Abby Cohen were to play Manon, that would literally scratch an itch in my brain that I cannot reach. Now for Lysandra, I'm actually going to go a little bit against her physical description for this one, because I know she's basically described as kind of like a Snow White. You know, she's got pale skin and the dark hair. I think that's supposed to be a nod to the fact that she has this preference towards being a snow leopard. Did I absolutely envision Brett Cooper playing this role? Absolutely. Do I think realistically she would even accept the role if it was offered to her? No, I don't. She is very picky about what kind of role she picks as well as what production company she works with, so I highly doubt she would actually accept the role, so I'm just not even considering her, and I'm going straight to Jenna Ortega. I feel like we only ever really see Jenna in these really emo roles, I do think there's definitely some emo undertones in Lysandra's story, and I'd be very interested to see how Jenna plays that, but I would also really like to see her playing this girl's girl role and absolute warrior. I think Jenna Ortega would be fantastic in a fantasy adaptation, and if she's going to be in any fantasy adaptation, I sure hope it's Throne of Glass. Next is Yrene Towers. I'm not 100% sold on this one. I do really like the idea of Madison Bailey playing Yrene Towers. Not only do her and Christopher Brinley look amazing together, but I feel like she will really capture Yrene's sass, but also her femininity very well. And then, of course, we have Alide. Now, when I think of Alide, automatically, I imagine Florence Hunt. She actually plays Hyacinth from Bridgerton, but she is 17 and she's turning 18 very soon, so she would be an adult. But I don't think her character shows up till Queen of Shadows, so she would definitely be an adult by the time she joined the series as Alide. And I just think she looks the part. I really don't have any other reason for it other than that. She's just exactly who I imagine. And if you take some of the fan art and put it right next to Florence, it's honestly like a perfect crazy match. Now we're gonna jump to the boys. First we have Rowan, and I'll tell you right now, I don't love the casting that I chose for Rowan, but he's literally the only person I can imagine. Henry Cavill, when he was like 25 to 30 years old, would have been perfect. But for this one, I think he might be too old to play the role. But I'm not mad about the idea of Ben Barnes playing Rowan. I feel like the way he presents himself just lines up well with Rowan. But I would actually be very interested to hear your Rowan castings in the comments, so please put them down below. It literally consumes all my waking thoughts. Like, there is not a single human being alive in this world who is in the acting industry who actually is a perfect fit for Rowan, who's in the right age range. So love that for me. I feel like there's a very similar dilemma with Rhysand. There's a lot of really good options, but there's no amazing options. Then we're gonna jump to Lorcan Salvatore, and I actually went with Taylor Zakar Perez. Then for Adian, I put Brant Daughtry. Then for Fenris and Gavriel, I have Cody Christian, who ironically is another Pretty Little Liars guy, and then Aaron Taylor Johnson from the Bullet Train. So here are Rowan and his boys, or Mob's men, all together, and I just feel like they have a visual appeal altogether. Now we're gonna jump to our villains. Hi, Editor Ruby here. I must apologize for calling them Erwin and Mauve. Their names are actually Erwan and Maeve, so I apologize in advance. So I chose our top 3 villains to cast, starting with Erwin, and this is him after he's left Harrington's body and just like embraced Erwin. But I went with Cillian Murphy. Honestly, can you imagine someone else doing this role as much justice? Erwan needs to be played by someone who just, like, their looks could kill. That is Cillian Murphy. Then for Mauve, I'm actually gonna do something a little fun with this one. Hear me out. Anne Hathaway is Maeve. And probably right now you're thinking, oh, you just did that because of her appearance. Sure, her appearance does play a good part in it, but now think about it like this. We have only ever seen Anne Hathaway in these super sweet female main character, Princess Diaries, Ella Enchanted, like these super iconic girl roles, but I don't think we've ever really seen her as the villain. Now imagine her super stunning, perfect smile, but then with crazy eyes. And one of her main manipulation tactics is to lure people in with the fact that she's such a good queen of the fae. Then on top of that, think about how many girls have looked up to Anne Hathaway their entire childhood and how many of the characters she has played. So then us as watchers, even though we know she's Maeve, instead of automatically having everything against her, I think her impact as a villain will be much more powerful if we're struggling with the idea that she's actually evil. So there's a little psychology for you. I really am overthinking it. I know it's not that deep. Then for the king, I really want it to be Pedro Pascal for a couple reasons. One, I think he could play that brooding evil character crazy well. But there are 2 redeeming moments that the king has, and they're super emotional interactions with Dorian, right? So I think it's going to be really important to have someone who can go from this brooding to almost like breaking through that Valg influence and then having this heart-to-heart like, son, I love you moment, I'm willing to give up my life for you moment. I just can't imagine someone other than Pedro Pascal nailing both extremes. Then for Nehemia, I have Ryan Destiny. I believe she is an up-and-coming actress. She's been in a couple music videos and a couple lesser-known things. But not only is she stunning, she is exactly how I imagine Nehemia to be. And I feel like just seeing her and Millie Alcock becoming best friends would be such a dynamic duo. Speaking of dynamic duos with Millie Alcock, Sadie Sink would make a great Ansel of Briarcliff. Also, imagine Sadie Sink with the most outrageous accent. I feel like that would be just the icing on the cake for this character. Nesrin Falik, although I'm not necessarily sure about this actress's acting abilities because I haven't actually seen anything that she's in, you can't avoid her. Like she's doing really well in shows that are doing really well. So I've seen her face around a lot, and when I was reading, coincidentally, she is just the face that pops up in my head when I think of Nesrin Falik, and that is Priya Gupta. Now imagine all of our girly pops together. I feel like this group is iconic, especially together. Then, last but not least, Caltaine Rompier. I casted her in Throne of Glass, ACOTAR, and Crescent City, but it's honestly just because you can't help but just like stare. Like she's just stunning. She has a look that could kill, and she has a look that is perfect for a fantasy novel. And I'm sure whatever the fourth series is that Sarah J. Maas is writing right now, I'm sure I'm going to cast her in that. Hopefully, the main character of that series, but that is Ariana Greenblatt. Does this girl not scream Queen of Shadows? Listen, if you have not caught on by now, the Queen of Shadows is not Aelin. I am a firm believer that the actual Queen of Shadows in the book Queen of Shadows is Caltaine. So not only do I think Ariana could do that really catty, like Queen of Gossip in the court kind of thing, who's literally willing to kill to become queen. So she can play like kind of a subplot villain, but I also think in that moment where she sacrifices herself for the sake of just messing up Erewhon's plans, I think that Ariana would just absolutely blow it away and it would be the most stunning redemption arc. If y'all ask me for enough of other characters to cast, who knows, I might make a part 2. You can stay tuned for my ACOTAR and Crescent City castings whenever they come out, but for now, definitely check out my Sarah J. Maas playlist and just enjoy the Maasverse.